this Friday morning, Christmas Eve, right? Alongside Meredith Mitchell and Cynthia this morning from Pulaski Tech. We only got 2 more days till Christmas, and Cynthia, you know, we're getting ready for Christmas and people are doing the last minute cooking and still trying to come up with ideas for Christmas breakfast or Christmas dinner, and you've got some great ideas this morning.
Yes, actually I brought a dish that I prepared for the family several years ago, and they loved it, so I brought it back.
And
it was a big hit.
It was. It is a sweet potato and pear casserole. The 2 ingredients go really well together. Actually, I make a soup out of sweet potatoes and pears also. So.
Okay, so is this, it seems really healthy.
It's actually, I took a Weight Watchers recipe. I added about ½ a tablespoon more of butter, so it may not quite be Weight Watchers anymore, but it was about 4 points. But the original recipe called for a tablespoon and a half of butter. So.
Okay, and it sounds very Christmassy as well. Perfect time of year.
You know, pears are something that I don't think a lot of people associate with Christmas, but it's a good flavor to add to a cold day.
It is, and if you don't want to do pears, you can do Granny Smith apples, but I like pears in the fall, you know. They're usually a little more ripe.
Okay.
So.
Sounds great. All right,
Good
looking
season
forward
for
to
that.
Thank you for being here this morning. We
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Hello. Yeah, we've got Cynthia Malik with us from Pulaski Tech, and this is a bit of a spin on your classic casserole dish. Explain what we're going to be cooking today.
Okay, so it's basically a sweet potato and pear casserole. It's really simple. It has some ginger root, fresh ginger root in there.
Wow.
You can use a powdered ginger,
okay,
but the fresh ginger really gives it a little bit of a different flavor. And the
is
aromatics.
that easy to find?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, it may have been a little harder to find, and it lasts in your refrigerator, and it's great for stir fry.
Oh yeah, that's
so,
a good idea.
You can buy as much or as little as you want, and keep it in the refrigerator.
Okay.
So.
And obviously the sweet potatoes are involved.
Sweet potatoes now. I chose some nice, pretty round ones.
Okay.
Just because they would make these nice, beautiful circles. Sometimes you get the real big, fat ones.
Right.
So, you know, you can kind of sort through them. Now, this recipe really only takes 2 about this size, so I bake these in the oven.
Okay.
The original recipe called for putting them in the microwave, but I love the sweetness that roasting them creates.
Okay.
And I put just a little bit of salt in there. Salt will help sweeten up vegetables. It kind of brings the natural sweetness out.
Oh.
So we don't have to use as much sugar, and then, you know, we're going a little healthier.
That's right. And, you know, I guess in microwave, I would assume they'd get a little bit more mushy than easy to cut and place inside the casserole dish.
I would think so. I use the microwave mostly to reheat things. I didn't own a microwave for many, many years, and my husband bought me one, and then I was like, yeah, you're right. It's kind of nice to have.
Yeah,
so.
it is. And so we're going to be cooking this up here in just a little bit. So it involves pears, sweet potatoes, ginger roots,
and maple syrup.
And maple syrup. Very wintry item that a lot of folks love the flavor of that as well. So we'll be looking forward to that. And after the break, we're going to give you your Christmas forecast. What will Santa and his reindeer have to contend with as they enter into Central Arkansas? It's all after a break. Well, on this Friday, right before Christmas, we've got Cynthia Malik with us from Pulaski Tech, and she's putting a bit of a spin on the classic sweet potato casserole, but this is going to maybe not be as similar as what someone had last year.
Maybe not as sugary, you know, not everybody likes the marshmallows on top.
Yeah, I forget about that, that's involved as well. This doesn't involve marshmallows, and tell us what it does involve.
It actually could if you really wanted to put marshmallows on there.
Depending what you like.
Yeah, and you could put some almonds, you could put maybe some toasted pecans on top, so you know, you can get creative with it. You know, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your sweet potatoes are cooked. So I went ahead and pulled it out of the foil. And when they're hot, they're a little difficult to handle. But when they're still warm
and
cooked,
peel.
they're a lot. I don't like peeling potatoes very much.
Yeah, so you just basically just peel all the skin off.
And then you just peel all the skin off, and we can cut them into quarters. Now, with these, like I said before, you want to do just a little bit of salt while you're baking them, and it'll bring out the natural sweetness in them. What I like about doing this too is you can get the real sinewy part of the potato off. See that part right there?
Yeah.
And so it's not as stringy. Now, I've been told you can eat the peel. I've never really
tried that out.
done that. You know, I like the peel of regular potatoes. And you know, if you have a compost pile, obviously you can throw that in the
Right.
compost pile. Like I said, I grabbed these because they were really nice and the perfect roundness for the slices. You can slice these a little thicker if you want and just do 1 layer, but I thought it'd be pretty to do 2 layers.
And how many sweet potatoes do you need?
You know, it only took 2 sweet potatoes for this dish, and I'd say this feeds about 6 people. Now that's a pie pan. You can use just a regular casserole dish.
I'm amazed by how well you're cutting them.
Oh, well,
No,
thank
I was
you
going
so
to
much,
say, I'm glad
Emily.
you didn't ask us to do that.
Me too.
Well, you know, since they're cooked, they're a little messy, so I thought I'd go ahead and do this for you ladies
Well,
today.
thank you.
Okay, so
I know, I usually have you all working hard on it.
Now, sweet potatoes, one thing, and we've got pear,
Okay, so we have
a
these.
great flavor.
These are Bosque pears. I went ahead and peeled them. They're nice and ripe. You know, the riper they get, the softer they get. So they're a little more difficult to work with when they get soft. So I peeled them, cut them in half. I cut the top off. But you can take this is called a Parisian scoop, and you know, or a melon baller. You know, a lot of people use that.
Now, Cynthia,
And you
there's
can just
different
take the
types of
bottom.
pears.
Yes.
So do you need to use a certain
You know,
variety?
I picked the ripest pears that were in the grocery store. I like Asian pears.
Yeah.
But they weren't very ripe, so
So you need
I
to make sure they're
decided-
ripe. That's one of
or
the
buy
secrets.
them early.
Okay.
You know, I bought these yesterday, so
pears in season?
pears in season. Let's see. So you just want to give it that really pretty color there. I mean, the really pretty shape here, and with the Parisian scooper, it kind of.
I see why you did
it
gives it
that
a real
way.
pretty,
Cool.
a real pretty shape. Now, if you'll turn that burner on,
Okay.
maybe you know mid-low.
Okay.
Okay. Now, ginger you can peel.
You probably
With
want
a
to make
spoon.
sure that the adult cuts the pears and not the kids, right? If they're
Definitely.
helping
Oh,
out.
ginger.
Right.
See, I would assume that ginger root would be hard to get into, but you're doing that with a spoon.
Yeah, and because of all the knobs
Uh-huh.
here, the spoon is a lot easier to get in there.
scoop out.
Now, we don't need very much.
Oh, that smells so good.
All right,
It
go ahead
does
and put
smell
that
good.
butter in the pan for me if you
Okay.
would. So, like I said, about 2 tablespoons of butter. You can go a little less if you like.
Does not want to come out of there.
And then you just want to mince your ginger. Now listen, if you go a little strong on the ginger, it gets spicy. So you want to be careful for that, okay? I thought about putting garlic in this recipe. It didn't particularly sound appetizing. And so we're going to put this in here.
Okay.
And then
Do I need to turn it up anymore?
You can turn it up just a little bit.
Okay.
Just make sure you watch it. You can put 3 tablespoons of maple syrup in there if you like.
Alrighty.
All right. And
I
then
didn't realize meat on this side would put me in a
It would
speed.
put you to work, the official cook here.
now you can toss these in the maple syrup mix if you want. Definitely just a touch of salt. Like I said, it just kind of brings out the flavor of everything. Okay.
All right.
And you could actually probably marinate this stuff, you know, in that syrup overnight.
So this is
if
something you
want
could
it.
definitely start putting together the night before, especially if you have a big day ahead of you.
You can. Go ahead and bake it off and let it marinate in the juices, and it'll be even better. And just kind of shingle your sweet potatoes nice and neat. You know, nobody's going to see the bottom layer, but, you know.
Now, your kids were on last week.
They
Have
were.
they tried this dish?
They, you know, I think Ayla had it once.
Okay.
But she doesn't remember because she saw me making it last night. She said, "What are you
"What's that,
making?"
Mom?
Yeah. So I'm not sure that she remembers, but you know, if you'll remember, Evan eats everything. He's
Yes,
the eater.
he's the eater
so
of the
I'm
group.
sure he would love it. My husband was kind of looking at it in the oven. He could smell it, and it just
Smells good.
smelled absolutely delicious.
Okay, so what do you want to make sure you set your oven at?
375 degrees.
And how long?
And we put it in the oven for about 15 minutes covered. That just kind of lets it heat up nicely and kind of starts to steam. But then you can take the foil off.
So we want to make sure we put foil over
Yes,
it when we put it in.
cover
Okay.
cover it for about 15 minutes. Take the cover off, and it kind of starts getting this toasted color
Mm-hmm.
on top from the sugar. So it kind of gets a caramelization, and you can do whatever pattern you want on the top. Makes it look kind of pretty. Now, if you do almonds or something on top, it's going to kind of take away from that, but it sure will add flavor.
Okay, looks delicious. We will be back to try it, let you know how it is. It is now 9:22. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're finishing this up. So basically, we made sure that that was simmered and ready to go.
We did.
And that's kind of the juice, and we pour all that in there.
And you said that'll kind of caramelize everything
Oh, yeah.
in the oven.
You don't want it to get too brown, but it will start to get a little bit brown. And I cooked this overnight or last night, let it chill overnight, and then took some of the juices from the bottom of the pan and drizzled it back over the top. Or you can just reserve a little bit or just make a little bit more.
Okay, sounds great. And remind us again how long you leave it in the oven for.
15 minutes covered, take the foil off, and then about 30 minutes or so, depending on your oven.
It does, it tastes fabulous.
So take a look at it, make sure everything's soft. Just take a toothpick and make sure all the pears and sweet potatoes are tender, but should be.
Sounds good. And you can always find the recipe on our website, todaysthv.com, as well, in case you missed it.
All right, and today, just cloud cover. No rain, but it's going to be a chilly day ahead of us. Get that shopping done, and everyone have a very Merry Christmas. We'll be back with you today at noon. Until then, remember the news is always on at todaysthv.com. Have a good one.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holiday. Happy holiday. May the calendar keep bringing happy holidays to you. Seeing old friends, oh, the fun of it all at holidays.